So Ken, tell me, how did the Grimsby Author Series get started?
We got started, it goes back to the days when I was chairman of the library board, just as we were about to build a new library art gallery. And we were sitting around, the board was sitting around one day, and we were talking about how it is that we might be able to make some kind of contribution, albeit small, because we were just a small group. What could we do to help with anything to do with the new facility? And one of the fellas who left the board shortly after just said, why don't we do an author series? Well, we talked about that, we all got excited about it, and then we were sort of sitting there, and I looked at him and I said, how do we do that? We had no experience with this, so we thought that it was going to be pretty simple, that we would write a letter. So Kevin and I got together and we wrote a letter to Jane Urquhart, and we said, Dear Miss Urquhart, we are running an author series for the library in Grimsby, and we'd like you to be one of our first authors. This was in a day 20 years ago, so this is even before email, so it was actually a letter we wrote to her. And we got a very nice letter back, and she said no. And
Oops.
we thought, okay, so we wrote to another author, and he said no. And then we thought, okay, this is going to be a little harder than we think, and that set us off on this roller coaster ride of trying to figure out how to do it. And we did. The first year we had 4 authors, and we were at the old Grimsby Pump House, which is very intimate. 75 people sitting cheek to jowl, with a furnace, stove furnace type in the room. And that was our first season that we spent with 4 authors, and it right from the get-go, it was warm, inviting, cozy, and I think we realized after that first season that we were onto something, that there was an appetite for the spoken word with the people of Grimsby and area, and that this is something that we needed to keep going with.
Did you ever think that you would still be doing this 20 years later?
You know, it was simply a matter of year to year. And it was one of those things where I never thought about the future, and I never really looked back. It was always being preoccupied with the present. I used to tell our committee, pretend like every night is our first night, because that's when you're sharp and you're interested in making sure that it's going to be a good experience for the audience and for the author. And that's been sort of one guiding light that we've had, guiding principle that we've had over time, is to try to make it a good experience for everybody involved, including ourselves as a committee.
Of course, yes. We love it. We're both, I think, author series junkies. Don't know that everyone else is, but we sure are. So we have great times at
That's
the
right.
author series.
That's right.
And I know that the authors just are always overwhelmed by your brilliant introductions and by your, really thought-provoking questions that you ask them. And I think it's because of that we get so much out of the author at our event, more than, perhaps they would at other events. So, and I know that all the authors always say, oh, Ken, could you please come with me to my next event and do the introduction, because you do such a good job.
Well, that's very kind of you to say that. For myself, if there's one thing I try to keep in front of me all the time is, if I were an author, what kind of experience would I want to have? And I thought, I'd want to make sure somebody lets the people out there know what the book is about, and that the person who's doing the talking did more than read the book jacket. I don't read book jackets. I never look at book jackets. I don't want to be influenced by what's on there. I want to have my own thoughts with the research that I do on the book and the author. And I thought if I was also doing it as an author, I'd want an audience that was energetic, enthusiastic. To paraphrase Mark Twain, to have good authors, you also need great audiences. And that's what we've been blessed with. We've
Absolutely.
the people in our community, and I think that's testament to their interest in the written word and hearing the author's voice tell the story. Because that's basically what we're doing. We get together 6 times a year with storytellers, and we all enjoy it.
And I must say that, I mean, we're very lucky because now during the pandemic, I mean, we could have had, just taken a break from the author series.
Yeah.
But you just jumped right in and said, okay, we're going to do this virtual. And I think it was a bit of a challenge at first for all of us. But I really appreciate your dedication to the series and being willing to take that leap with us. And I think it's going really well.
I'm not exactly a Luddite, but I'm not far behind. It was a new adventure for me. The one thing and you and I have talked about this, one of the things that we miss by doing it virtually is we don't have the audience right in front of us. And that energy, we play off that energy.
Right.
I feel it. The authors feel it. We all feel it. When the room is filled up and there's almost that hum that goes on inside that room. But we don't have it now. I look into a computer eye and I speak to it. I have no idea how many people are out there. I know you're there because I see you before I go on. So we miss that part of it. But it's a challenge that if we don't try things, we don't grow. And now that we've done almost 6 or 7 of these, it's getting easier. I'm thinking that this may even have some impact on how we go forward and do things in the future.
Absolutely.
There's no reason why we can't do events. We have an upcoming event where an author's going to be, we're going to have 2 authors. One's going to be in Cleveland, and one's going to be somewhere in the United States. I can't remember.
I think he's from Connecticut.
From Connecticut.
Yeah. We wouldn't be able to have them otherwise.
That's right.
Yeah, so there are some benefits.
So it's been a challenging time. I think we've met the challenge.
Yeah, we have. Absolutely.
And we have people joining us from all over the place.
Yeah.
Not just our local area, the peninsula,
Absolutely.
and going over into the into Burlington, Toronto area.
Absolutely.
We're now getting people we had people from upstate New York who were at our last one. So
yeah, it was great.
This bodes well for the future.
So I know I can't ask you who your favorite author was, but who do you remember the most of an author that you were really looking forward to meeting them? I know you've had lots over the years.
One of the most genuine people I've met in the business is Andrew Piper. He's been to the series 4 or 5 times. And if Andrew were sitting on the bench here with us, that's just the way he would be at the author series. He's a relaxed guy, articulate, smart, funny guy. We had such we have dinner before the event, and he's always such an engaging, sunny type of guy that he certainly ranks up there. And then there've been so many.
Yes,
to
there
watch an
have.
Anne-Marie McDonald,
Yeah.
who practically is giving a performance when she reads. How she asked me if she could have private time before the author series, before the evening began, so she could psych herself up.
Wow.
Because she was going to read like she was giving a performance. We've had Pierre Burton, a man who I had revered for so many years as a historian, a popular historian. When he walked into the auditorium, as you know, he's a big man. He was about 6'5", and he came in and he was so creaky. I wasn't sure how he was even going to go up the 3 steps to the stage when we were at Blessed Trinity. And he came and I spoke to him, and he acknowledged. And then when I called him up, he went up the 3 stairs. He got to that podium, and it was like he threw a switch, and he was 45 years old, and he was back on Front Page Challenge, and he was bright, articulate, and yet the man was within, I think he was within a year of his passing. That I remember that one very clearly. Or people like Ken Dryden getting up there and talking to us and telling us something he would never admit in public, that somebody, we asked him what was the worst team that he always wanted to face, and he says without a doubt it was the Boston Bruins, because they were such a dirty bad team, and everybody was just laughing and just enjoying these sort of insights from the big guy, and it was terrific. We've had so many evenings like that. Authors who they get up to the podium and turn their cameras out to the audience.
Yes, I know, that's always fun.
Because they can't believe
how many people are there.
How many people are there? For some, it's the biggest audience they've ever played for.
Yep.
For some, it's the enthusiasm, but for all of them, it was the energy and the reception that that our people, our audiences gave to him,
Yep.
to all the authors.
That's great. Great Grimsby audience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we draw from so many different places too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. But it's our spot on the map.
Yep, for sure. So is that, you probably have way too much, right?